Hi, my name is Jerry Hush. I'm sitting here today with Larry Hunter. I had the honor and pleasure of practicing law with Larry for almost 40 years. And today we're going to talk about Larry's achievements as a lawyer and maybe a few other things as well. Larry, for those of us who don't know you as well as I do, or some of the other people that you've worked with, or members of your family, could you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Okay, so I grew up I'm an Idahoan. I grew up in Twin Falls, and after I went to Harvard, went on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to Chile. I learned Spanish down there, which I've retained, fortunately, through the years, so I still speak Spanish. And I met my wife, Iris, at a reunion of Chilean missionaries, and that was very handy. So she speaks Spanish also. And so we've had that in common. Worked in the Bank of America International Division for a couple of years after we got married. Lived in Oakland, commuted across the Bay Bridge into San Francisco, and then decided that I wanted to pursue law. I kind of had that in the background, but hadn't been able to do that, and it was just the right time to do it. So we went to law school in Chicago at Northwestern University. We had one child by the time we went, and we had another child, our first year of law school, and we had a third child, our third year of law school. She was born on the day of one of my final exams. And the professor actually let me defer my exam to another day so that I could go be with my wife during the birth. At any rate, after we graduated, we looked at different places to practice. So we came to Boise, and I interviewed with firms. I interviewed with Moffitt Thomas, and they extended me an offer. And I was there until Moffitt Thomas was merged with Hawley Troxell. So I was there for over 40 years practicing law.
What areas of practice did you practice when you were an attorney with Moffitt Thomas?
Moffitt Thomas kind of puts itself forward, or did, as an all-purpose law firm. And so there was a lot of different areas. I had worked for a bank for a couple of years, and so first couple of years they had me do some business work, and then they started to give me some litigation work, and I just took to the litigation more than I did to business work. So I did civil litigation, mostly defense. I handled a few plaintiffs' cases. And then every once in a while, for whatever reason, I'd do a domestic relations work. I even did 2 criminal cases. And that was an example of stuff flowing downhill, because one of my senior partners knew a family whose son was accused of murder, and he wanted to turn himself in. So I was asked to go meet him at the airport and take him to the Boise police station to turn himself in, which was an interesting situation.
Tell me, Larry, are there any lawyers that you particularly admired or tried to pattern yourself after or emulate, and why, if so?
Well, I certainly emulated your knowledge of cases. That's for certain. Within the firm, I think Dick Fields. I didn't ever work a lot with Dick because his area of practice with medical malpractice and other things was not the same area that I did. But I always looked up to him, and I as I mentioned, I followed him. Not exactly followed him, but I went onto the bar commission like he did. And also, he was a member of the Boise Philharmonic Board. And I actually followed him onto the Boise Philharmonic board, and we had arranged that so that I would be able to follow him. So I did those. But I just thought he was a very ethical person and very civil in his practice. There's a bar award, the Richard C. Fields Civility Award, which I think is aptly named. So I did look to him and trying to emulate him. The first person to interview me at Moffat Thomas was Ron Rock. Ron was a very good litigator, and I learned a lot from him. I did try a couple of cases with him and learned from him. So those were two within the firm. Outside of the firm, and there were others. I'm not going to say that there weren't others, and it would be too long to name them all. But I saw other people outside of the firm also who I saw and admired and picked up from them. I think everybody can learn something from another attorney as they practice in a case with them or against them. So, and I was very fortunate to be able to do that.
Did you have a mediation practice after or during your later years after you had several decades of experience as a litigator?
I did, yes. Answer the short answer. Long answer. Of course, mediation started to become a prevalent way to resolve cases towards the end of our careers. And I know you did some, and I did some, but I didn't ever give up my litigation practice. But then, when my wife and I had the opportunity to live in South America for a year and a half, from 2014 to 2016, where I was actually an attorney for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints down there. I was the Associate Area Legal Counsel. I was a volunteer as a missionary, so I didn't get paid anything. But I worked under a area legal counsel who was a person that the church hired to be part of their legal division for 3 years. And they'd get people, the guy that I worked with was from Holland and Hart's office in Salt Lake City, and he just took a 3-year sabbatical. At any rate, I actually did some mediation type work in that context also, because I couldn't go into court, of course, but I was able to resolve conflicts. So things I learned here, I did there. And I had more or less handed off my clients to my partners before I left for Argentina. And so when I came back, I did mostly mediation.
Well, since you brought up the topic of your family, could you acknowledge all of your children and grandchildren here? They've come a ways to see you.
Well, I acknowledge that they're all mine. So some of them are here, and some of them weren't able to make it. But I have a wonderful wife, Iris, who has made any accomplishment that I have ever done possible, because she's very supportive, and I couldn't ask for a better person to be my wife, so I'm very grateful for her. We do have 6 children, all of whom are good people. You know, they're good moral people, and I'm happy to hear that, and that's probably due to Iris's upbringing of them.
Larry, are there any other public service kinds of things that you've done in your practice or maybe do today?
Well, you know, I try to keep busy during retirement. I lose track of time and dates and stuff because it kind of runs together a little bit. But I do. I continue to do some work for the Idaho State Bar on some bar committees, and I'm the public member of the Idaho State Board of Accountancy, which really is interesting for my son, who's a CPA, because he knows very well that I don't know a lot about the technical parts of accounting, but I'm the public member, so I'm 6 CPAs and me, so I get to sit with these CPAs and listen to them and learn about their practice and try to put a little input from the public side. So I enjoy doing that, and that's one of the things I do to keep myself busy during retirement.